Welcome to the show. I'm Mike Alanis. All right, forget the confession. Investigators building a case against Joran may not need it. Just into us. Police in Peru say they found skin under the fingernails of the victim here, Stephanie Flores Ramirez. Right now they're testing it to see whether this new evidence contained the accused killer's DNA, Joran Plus, HLN has an exclusive look at where Vandersloot could be put on trial. Unprecedented access inside the courtroom. Gene Casares joins us, attorney, correspondent for In Session on our sister network, True TV. Gene, we'll get to that exclusive look at the courtroom in just a minute, but first off, let's talk about the evidence that could put away Joran Vandersloot, the skin under the nails. What do we know?
Well, we do know that, Mike. We've got some breaking news coming into Lima right now.
Yes.
From the Superior Court right here in Lima. The Habeas Corpus investigation decision has just come down. It was a minute ago that I got this email, and I remember his attorney is saying there's an illegal detention because of violation of due process rights, asking for Joran Vandersloot to be released. The Superior Court of Lima has just made its decision. It is saying that this, by the defense, is without merit. There is no merit to the habeas corpus writ by the defense, that the rights of Joran Vandersloot have not been abridged in this case. There has been no violation of due process rights. So once again, the habeas corpus investigation decision, we've been waiting for it all week. It just came down saying there have been no violation of rights of Joran Vandersloot. Now, his attorney has told us previously he will appeal this ruling. So we'll see if he does, but that's the decision right now of the Superior Court. And you're right, Mike, on the forensic front, our sources have confirmed that there were skin cells found underneath the nails. That's being tested now. Is it human DNA? Is it animal DNA? What is it? But the fact is there was something other than the victim's DNA found under her fingernails, and we're talking about Stephanie Flores.
Okay. Gene, let's get back to the breaking news from Peru, that Joran Vandersloot's rights were not violated. What was the best argument that Vandersloot and his attorney had that his rights were violated?
I think one thing that was the best that I heard, and this is from official releases and court documents, that his original attorney, and we spoke with her, she said that when she met with Joran right after he got here from Chile, that he said, I do not want to talk, I do not want to make a statement, and she told the prosecutor's office that's it, he's not going to talk. So the hearing was canceled, interrogation canceled, she left. But then on the confession document, there's a brand new name of another defense attorney who is not a public defender. And it's supposed to be a public defender that comes in and sits by your side during an interrogation and confession. Well, what the defense is alleging in this document is that this was a buddy, it was a friend of the police department, and it was not someone that truly represented the rights of Joran. The second strongest argument, they said, was that there was not an official certified Dutch translator. But we have also heard from other sources in the city that, in fact, that same translator is still with him, and that was a certified translator. So what do you believe, what you don't, but those were the defense legal documents that we got a hold of.
Let's bring in attorney Sonny Hostin. Sonny, sounds, I mean, I'm a layman, I'm not an attorney like you and Gene, like they were grasping at straws here, and so far it hasn't worked. Now they're going to appeal. What are the odds that's going to work?
I mean, you know, who knows? I think that given this trial court's decision, I think that probably it won't be victorious when he appeals this. But I've got to tell you, this is a very strong case, even absent the forensics. When you look at the video, when you look at, you know, all of his statements, this is a very strong case. Now you're adding this DNA under her fingernails. If, in fact, it is his DNA, and we know this was a grisly scene, the murder scene, I think that the government of Peru has a very strong case here.
Let's talk about that new evidence. John Lucis is with us, former criminal investigator. John, good to have you back. All right, we're hearing that the skin underneath the victim's fingernails, it's a small sample. How much do you need? How much would a prosecutor need to prove, yes, that's the skin of Joran Vandersloot?
All they need to do is be able to get enough DNA to make that test. I mean, we've worked cases. We just were involved in a case just 2 years ago in a homicide where they had a very minute amount of skin underneath that the fingernails, but they were able to identify whether that person was involved or not. So there's so much overwhelming evidence mounted against this guy, and this guy has been skating forever. This has got to be the time that this ends, right here and right now. All these little nitpicking things about whether this was a certified translator or not really don't matter in the scheme of things because the evidence is overwhelmingly against this individual.
Sure seems that way. Let's go back to Gene Casares. Gene, so we expect an appeal here. What's that do to the timeline? I mean, is this going to be slow and go here in Peru?
No, I think justice will keep going forward. I think they will make their appeal, but the investigation, remember, we're in the middle of the instructiva, which is the investigation led by the judge. That will continue onward. And you know what we heard today when we were out at Castro, we heard that actually the judge in this case scheduled 3 different psychiatric hearings for Joran van der Sloot this week. Now, I can't confirm that they were held, but the judge ordered them. And this is separate and distinct from the police psychological evaluations that we were able to get a hold of earlier this week.
Okay, let's get a call in. Carl in California. Carl, your question here?
Since Joran van der Sloot, by the way, hi Mike. Since Joran had a psychiatric evaluation, and people have been mentioning his demeanor being very calm, is he on any psychiatric medication?
You know, not that we know of. His mom says she wanted to get him to a psychiatric institution in the Netherlands. According to her, he declined, instead wanted to go to Peru and quote-unquote make some money. Gene, I'll throw that to you. Any medications that we know of? I haven't heard that. Have you?
No. In fact, we even found that in his system there were no drugs at all.
Okay. Gene, before we let you go, we know you had exclusive access to where Joran van der Sloot has been to the court, where the trial could go down. What did you learn?
Well, it was really something. I mean, we were allowed to go once again. First we met at Lurigancho, and we were outside of there, and then we drove this close distance to Castro, went inside the grounds again as we had a week ago, but this time we toured their court building there, and it's a very active court building. We saw the courtroom and were able to shoot it. This has never been shot before by a camera, but it was the small courtroom that Joran van der Sloot actually appeared in on Monday before the judge. Very small plexiglass between the gallery and the well of the courtroom where you normally have the defense attorneys and the judge. We also went into the courtroom, and it was active today. There was a proceeding taking place. We were able to shoot it. This is where they tell us that the trial will take place. It's very simplistic. There were 6 wooden benches for the public to sit on to watch the trial.
Okay. Gene, great work as always. We'll talk again soon. John, Sonny, appreciate it as well.